as promised, it's another Saturday and I'm back creating monsters in the kitchen. This time, however, I do have something truly amazing for you, as you've just seen. So, incorporating strong white bread flour, caster sugar, salt, yeast, whole milk, water, 2 tons of butter, plain flour, some egg wash, and 4 days of my life, I give you the giant croissant. Today I am starting with 1.5 kilos of strong white bread flour, putting that in the bowl, forgetting that I do need to sift out the lumps, putting it back in the flour bag, grabbing the sieve, and then successfully sieving it into the bowl until you do get 1.5 kilos of big fluffy white mountain inside a bowl. Caster sugar, which is 180 grams of which doesn't actually sound like a lot in comparison to the flour, but then just making sure that's combined enough in the bowl. We then go with 36 grams of yeast, which is annoying because they come in 11 gram little sachets, so we need 3 of those, and then just a sprinkle of the next one. Coming in strong with 36 equally grams of salt. I am just using standard table salt. I'm sure there is some other salt that you're meant to be using. I'm then coming in with 150 grams of unsalted butter, which is chopped up into little cubes. And once again, I have skipped the melted and cooled step, which doesn't really come as a massive problem, although the croissant connoisseurs out there will probably be absolutely quaking in their boots. We then add in our milk, which is 900 millilitres of which as you saw, does completely fill up the bowl. We're then going to get our hands absolutely disgusting, mixing that up inside the plastic bowl, realising that it's probably easier just to put it out on the side. Doing exactly that, kneading it for a few minutes, then ironically putting it back in the same bowl, just this time with a fair bit of olive oil in it. And that's so it can grow, and obviously struggle to get it off my hand whilst trying to do so. Now you want to cling film over the top of the bowl and leave it until it is about doubled in size, which is actually kind of eerie when you think about it, that it does do that. But anyway, it's how you make a croissant. So you pour it out, and then we need to essentially just roll this gently into a rectangle so we can wrap it tight, chill it for a couple of hours so it slightly firms up, so it is ready for the butter, and then obviously the long lamination process. And feel free to waste a little bit of time like I do, trying to square it off perfectly, thinking that it's not going to misshape when you try and put it inside a tray. Leading to the next somewhat dilemma, which is trying to find a tray that's going to fit this massive bit of dough inside it. So we end up using a grill pan, wrapping it tightly with foil and baking paper, and then obviously cling film over the top so it can go in the fridge and chill for a couple of hours. Next, we're on to the butter block, or beurrage as it does say it's called. There's not really much to say here. It is quite simple. It's 900 grams, so just shy of a kilo of unsalted British butter, 90 grams of plain flour. Put those together and somehow make it into a rectangle. It doesn't sound like a lot, but believe me, this is strenuous work going on here and incredibly time consuming. If I'm honest with you, it also makes your hands feel pretty gross. But there we go, it's part and parcel of the giant croissant. Nearing the end of our stint of just having fun and playing around with a big old block of butter, we do need to find a tray, wrap that up, and then equally chill. Now fortunately I have saved you the graft of waiting around for an excessive amount of time for everything to cool down. This step is quite simple, however. We quite simply put the butter inside the dough, fold the dough over like an envelope, and believe it or not, back in the fridge to chill. We are now back out of the fridge, chilled enough, and the task here, quite simply, as a uniform piece of dough and butter, is to roll it into a big rectangle and then fold it into thirds. Now this creates an amazing amount of layers. I'm not going to try and bore you to watch it all, but each time we do this, which is about 4 times, you do then have to pop it back in the fridge to chill. It is excessively time consuming. Obviously, if you feel like you have the effort, feel free to try and square it off pointlessly before popping it back into the tray, clinging it, and once again, popping it back in the fridge. And lo and behold, we are back out of the fridge. Honestly, I don't know if you've been watching, but you'll never guess what we're about to do now. Oh, you got it. Well done. Fold it into thirds after rolling it back out. And quickly do it once again, but I'm sure you will be over the moon to learn that this is our last one to do it. Apparently you can't really do it more than 4 or 5 times. It comes too many layers and the structure inside doesn't seem to hold up too well. Then what we do, believe it or not, is put it back in the fridge, but we do this overnight, and as you can see, it is absolutely ginormous and ready for a big old rolling session. So you want to make sure you're getting a good amount of flour down on the surface. Press it down before rolling, as a good few people have said to do. And for any of those eagle-eyed viewers that are watching the previous video out there, may have realised that we do actually have our own rolling pin now. So we did give our mum back the one that we stole. Gonna get out the trusty pizza cutter to cut these into triangle shapes. Now it is rolled out into a good size, and press the top down, try and stretch it out, which doesn't really work because obviously we've overfloured the surface, so there's nothing for it to stick to. But we're just going to try and roll it up into the nice croissant shape that we all know and love. Obviously it's not going to be tight enough, so I am going to bring it back out and re-roll it because it was just really loose, and loose croissants just aren't really the kind of benchmark we're looking to set here at Food for Giants. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a tiny slit at the base of the croissant as we re-roll it back up. Not entirely sure what this is for, if I'm honest with you. I did watch a Babish video, and let's be fair, that guy clearly knows what he's doing around the kitchen. We just kind of copied him. I'm assuming it's something to do with cooking the inside correctly and there not being too much croissant in the middle. But we move on. We've got all 3 of our croissants now rolled into shape. One of them cling filmed and bagged and popped into the freezer so I can thoroughly enjoy it at a later date. And the other 2 ready to hit the egg wash shower. Now the egg wash is simple enough. Just beat together 2 eggs, a little bit of milk, I'll put some salt and a bit of sugar in there. And then, because obviously we don't have a pastry brush and you know my mother wasn't around to steal anything from, we are just using the back of a spoon and learning that a spoon is a fairly universal utensil as it goes. As universal it may be, unfortunately it isn't a pastry brush and it does take me absolutely forever to coat these in the egg wash, but we do get it done eventually and we can pop these in the oven, which has been preheated to 180 degrees, and that's fan assisted. Because of the size of them, after about 30 minutes we did have to lower it down to 160 just so obviously the middle can cook and it doesn't brown on the outside too much. But they are done. 4 days later, after starting this on a Saturday and then rushing home on a Tuesday after work to bake them and finish them off before the dough spoiled. I do have 2, well 3 if you count the one in the freezer, excessively large croissants. I mean, they are absolute monsters. And of course we do give them away. I think they weigh just shy of 1.2 kilograms each, which after a brief Google search and finding out that the average croissant weighs 50 grams, that is 24 times the intensity of your normal shop bought croissant. But that is me now done for another week, so I'm going to try and find something to do with these large croissants. So thanks for another watch, and I'll see you with another bake.